One thing I don't understand is why are so many people so mean now? I don't know why everyone always has something negative to say about you. It's like no matter what you do, people just have something against you. Like, what did little Johnny do to you? Exist. I hate it when he breathes. What? I feel like so many people lack so much basic manners and empathy, and being a decent person in society is just dumb now. Like, if you're happy, caring, and a nice person, you're cooked. Because no one's gonna match your energy because no one cares. People are so busy trying to be nonchalant that they don't understand who they're actually becoming. Being nonchalant means not really caring about what happens or acting indifferent to a situation. And while that in itself is not bad, tons of people are using it as a mask to make it seem like everything's fine when it's not. Society, especially teens and young adults, now view being chalant as a sign of weakness, cringy, or even danger. Being chalant involves putting yourself out there for other people, and it means more people are gonna be more likely to judge you, and you're gonna get more hurtful comments. I feel like this is very common with relationships and dating. Now, I've never had a relationship personally, but I've seen so many videos of how guys quickly become nonchalant, especially if their inner child was hurt and they were trying to heal. I understand there has to be maturity in a relationship, but there also has to be sometimes where both people can just be dumb and stupid and just be themselves. Because being nonchalant just makes it harder for people to understand you. Trying to understand a nonchalant person is like trying to understand Shakespeare's text. It doesn't make sense. You try to break through and like start a conversation or just try to interact with that person, but you get left with dry one-word responses and overthink every single text. Though, I understand why people are like this sometimes, because everyone tells us to be ourselves, but then they hate us when we're being ourselves. Like, what do people want? Like, if I can't be myself, who am I supposed to be then? You're supposed to be perfect. They want people to say you have to be caring, but you can't be too caring or else you're too clingy. You have to show interest, but not too much or else you're being too nosy. You have to be confident and talk to people, but you can't be too obvious or else you're just being a creep. You have to know how others feel, but you have to guess it based on an unknown code no one even told you about. You have to show emotion, but you can't show the wrong kind of emotion or else you're too weak and you're too unstable. And you can't say how you actually feel because you need to hold it together. Except you can't hold it together. It's too hard. It's so exhausting. And nobody even asks if you're okay. And it turns out that the people you thought would be there for you actually don't care about you at all. A lot of people who decide to be nonchalant as their protection from getting hurt. People that initially put themselves out there got emotionally hurt. So their brain is wired to just pull back from any social situation so that they'll be emotionally safe. But in doing that, they're also disconnecting themselves from everyone and everything. They disconnect themselves from family, friends, and even hobbies that they liked. People isolate themselves in their own bubble just to stay safe, but they're just so tired of everything. Like, all these negative interactions, it just feels like they failed. They don't want to try anymore. And they just feel like giving up because people expect so much more than they can actually do. So everyone just stops caring to avoid these expectations. But either way, it still feels so draining. Our world is literally trying to turn people into machines. From a young age, we're taught to work. Deadlines, assignments, homework, tests, projects, stress, more stress. And that's just the academic side. Don't forget about all the clubs, the sports, the passion projects, jobs, awards, and you still need to maintain your social life while simultaneously curing cancer at the same time. So many people have the mindset of being the perfect student for college and hearing all the compliments from people saying that you're working so hard, that you're going to have a bright future. And these compliments, they're nice and they're motivating, but it gets to a point where it's just too much. Sure, these compliments motivate people to continue working hard, and it's great until it's not. It's great to work towards a goal. When that goal becomes your life and all you can think about, it's not healthy. It doesn't matter if it's sports, academics, competitions, promotions, or even something relating to a social life. If it's consuming you, it's changing you. And it's changing you in the worst way possible. Perfectionism is the worst enemy for many of us, but it keeps controlling us because it knows how to. Perfectionism realizes that we feel happiness and validation from getting praise from others and our achievements. And it knows that the world is very competitive. So the voice is telling us that if everything's perfect, then we'll be fine. Except we're not. We're so focused on the goal that we neglect everything else in our life. We stop talking to everyone. We deny ourselves food and water. We pull all-nighters just to get the work done. Even if it's sloppy, it doesn't matter. And this is common with school. Like, if you're a student watching this, I know there's been times where you just did the work just to get it done instead of actually doing it to try to understand or actually get it right. That's valid because students are so overwhelmed with homework. So as long as it's half decent, it's good enough because we're not trying to lose sleep over this. And speaking of sleep, the CDC reports that children aged 6 to 12 need 9 to 12 hours of sleep per day, while teens aged 13 to 17 need 8 to 10 hours of sleep per day. That's a lot of sleep. But the CDC also stated 34% of children and 77% of high school students did not get enough sleep. And okay, sometimes we procrastinate and sometimes we stay up late watching TikTok or whatever. But other times, that's not the case. People always tell us to get a good night's sleep. How are we supposed to do that if we get dumped with work every day on top of our other work? We're not even getting paid for this. Because at least people working 9 to 5 get paid, though the work environment isn't that good. Hustle culture is very common in the world, with corporations and certain cultures valuing work over everything. Employers encourage people to stay in the office as long as possible, and they want employees to go above and beyond, but they won't compensate them for it. Even with overtime, some employers are stingy with it and sometimes hide opportunities for it just because they want to save money. It's why people do the bare minimum. There's no reward or extra incentive, and half the time, workers, and if you want to put this in a school setting, workers and students get treated like shit. So, if they're getting treated like shit, why should they have to work harder than they have to? All this work and stress is just so tiring and overwhelming, and after a long, crappy day, people just want to relax. But it's hard to do that when you have kids, other responsibilities, or just someone or something that needs a lot of attention. After a long day at work or school, everyone's too tired to do anything. Everyone just wants to eat, chill, and just go to sleep. No one has time or wants to deal with their kids or younger siblings' tantrums. No one wants to work on that project that's due at 11:59 at night. No one wants to wash the dishes or clean up after everyone. But unfortunately in life, we have to do stuff we don't want to. Sure, you're not working on homework or projects are the main thing you're supposed to be working on, but it's still extra stuff and no one's got time for that. And when this stuff keeps happening day after day, month after month, it just gets to a point where one small complaint or mistake, it just makes everything blow. People often lash out at their kids, their siblings, or their friends over this and say things out of anger. Put a finger down if you've heard any of these. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. After all I've done, this is how you repay me? You always ruin everything. Why can't you be like your brother? You're such a pain in the ass. I wish I never gave birth to you. A lot of people, whether it's parents, siblings, friends, or ourselves, are very hard on ourselves. And it's because we like to create our own perfect world, but we forget that we're human and that we can't do that. We're a mess with tons of flaws, emotions, and trauma we don't know how to or can't explain, but we still feel misunderstood, silenced, and confused. And this is something called hermeneutical injustice, which is when a person experiences something but can't make sense of it, and it leads to them silently suffering with it. Imagine you have really strict parents that literally control your whole life. What you're gonna do, where you're gonna go to college, even deciding on a wife or husband for you. And anytime you complain, you're met with nagging, gaslighting, guilt tripping, and whoopings. But as soon as you invite a friend or family member over, they act like the sweetest angels in the world, offering tons of food, asking about themselves, and just being so kind, sweet, and caring. Your strict parents painted themselves as the perfect parents, kind, generous, and caring. But as soon as those guests leave, you're the only one experiencing this. But since everyone else sees your parents as really nice people, it makes you question if you're just being dramatic or overreacting. Because maybe you're just a bad kid and you deserve this treatment. Either way, you silently suffer while no one else knows about it. Since there's no emotional outlet, people will either A, create their own emotional outlet and bully others to take their anger out on people and gain a sense of autonomy, power, and control, or B, pretend like everything's okay, even when it's not. When someone can't explain their pain, they carry it silently on their own. And if there's no healthy emotional outlet to release their silence, all a person gains out of this is anxiety, anger, withdrawal, and cruelty to others. There's no one to validate their feelings or believe that something's wrong with them. So some people resort to social media as an escape, except sometimes it makes things worse. Social media is a place where many people with different experiences and beliefs can share their thoughts and opinions about anything. The problem is, some people take anything a little too literally, and they have no filter. I don't know how many of you have seen hate comments over people doing the nicest things for others, but people always have something negative to say. You could literally solve world hunger and cure cancer, and it still wouldn't be enough for some people. A lot of people on social media like to assume and immediately jump to conclusions, especially if it deals with mental health or controversial issues. Let's take this free cleaning here. This house is a disaster, but it came from a person dealing with numerous mental health issues. This lady is providing a free cleaning to this person so that this person can have a fresh start and a better life. But so many people assume that the person getting the free cleaning is just faking it, or assume that this person is just so lazy and so ignorant because there's no way mental health issues can do that, right? I swear, people that say that, they're the type of people to say that mental health matters, but when someone's actually dealing with a mental health issue, they're the ones that are the problem. They're the ones that tell them to f*** off. For these people, what do you think mental health is? Because mental health is not just about looking sad. I understand that mental health is hard to understand, and people are still trying to understand mental health to this day. But if you truly cared about mental health, like you said, you'd have the empathy and decency to at least listen and try to understand what the person's going through. I have another example here with Hannah from My ARFID Life. In this video, she's reenacting times where she's had anxiety while eating out. Hannah has ARFID, which is a very rare ED that causes her to have immense anxiety about food and anything related to it. But a lot of people in the comments under this video called her a spoiled brat and said that this was bad behavior, and some even said that she should have just starved or that it wasn't that serious. But anxiety doesn't come in the same form all the time. And ARFID is a different breed of EDs. It's more than just, I don't want to eat this. This is literally saying, I will have an anxiety attack if I have to be associated with it, and it's out of my control. ARFID deals with sensory issues about food, and small things like looks, smell, food placement, and even eating around others can trigger an attack. People are so quick to attack others without taking a second to just use their brains and think. Not only is this common with mental health, but it's also common with politics. Politics is literally the breeding ground for hate, because everyone's always arguing and calling each other stupid and uneducated. The good thing with social media is that it can expose these idiotic and horrible people, but it also starts a comment section more when someone actually tries to say facts, like in this video from Tristan Ryan Perkins.
To colleges to debate about women's reproductive rights? Dude, you aren't a woman!
The problem with social media in general is that negative posts and videos almost always do better than positive posts and videos. And this is due to negativity bias, which causes us to remember the information more. The National Institute of Health states how people weigh negative information more than positive information, because negative information auto-activates threat responses, which helps us plan and protects us from danger. Any sort of negative information makes people feel more than positive information, and it's more likely to cause people to share their beliefs and defend them to protect their beliefs and even their sense of identity. A lot of people on social media also tend to have a confirmation bias, where they'll only look for information that supports their argument or belief and ignore every other piece of information, especially if it contradicts their opinion. People on social media are more focused on being right than being more aware. And that's just dumb in my opinion, because I find it annoying when people always want to be right. Unfortunately, that's just how some people are, but there's something we can do to help. One thing I feel like people should do is learn to accept their problems and insecurities. A lot of hate comes from the fact that we don't like something about ourselves, or we're just going through a hard time. And that's fine, that's valid. A lot of people still have the thought that they have to be perfect and that they can't show weakness, but that's very unrealistic for many, and eventually you're gonna crack under pressure. It's okay to have problems. We all do. That's why we're human. And it's okay to ask for help. Sometimes just talking about how you feel to someone makes you feel better. It allows you to actually vent and just dump your emotions in a safe space. If you don't have anyone or you don't feel comfortable talking, write it in a journal or a piece of paper. At least if you write it, the paper's not going to yell at you. Also, I feel like we need to focus more on understanding instead of being right. I know it's hard to swallow our pride and we feel dumb when we're wrong, but sometimes we just need to take a step back and lower our ego. At the end of the day, it's not always about you, it's about everyone. These issues affect everyone, and taking the time to just listen can go a long way, and it can mean a lot to someone. You don't know everything in the world, so why not learn more about it? I know mean people will always exist in the world, but a lot of us don't have to be like that. What's fun in being angry at everyone and everything all the time? It just takes so much energy to do that. It's okay to feel how you feel, but instead of lashing out, just pause for a sec, breathe, relax, and move forward. I promise you, things are going to get better. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and go check out my other content and subscribe if you want to.